Ready to make some magic?
What's going on, guys? Got two special guests here. We're at the Pelican Bay event, okay? And we got Corona and Brandon Bowsky here. Gentlemen, why don't you go and introduce yourselves?
Name's Brandon Bowsky, ex-insurance industry, currently in lead gen, AI, and I just build fun offers. Yeah, here we are.
Go. I'm Carlos Corona. I'm the co-founder and CMO of Unique Media Group. We're a pay-per-call network where we educate people how to get into the industry and make a living from doing pay-per-call.
How'd you get started doing what you do?
What I do today or what I did?
What you did before that led you here?
Well, I fell into insurance when I was living in my car in 2016 and started selling it, made some money, and was like, hey, this is cool. I'm going to go do something else. And they said, no, stay here. Be a manager. So what's that like? And they were like, well, you make half the money, but you don't have to do any work. And this light bulb goes off, and I'm like, oh my God, so much room for activities. And I felt like I was in Step Brothers. And then I did more work than I could have ever imagined. Grew the company from 40 people to almost 400 over the course of about 15 months. Asked for a pay raise when I built a product with an insurance carrier that was going to make us a lot of money. They said no. When they said no, I was just like, I can't believe this. What am I supposed to do now? So I left, started my own thing. It was very successful. I basically took everything I learned and all the stuff I wasn't given the freedom to do and used all that newfound creative control and grew a big business. And what happened was I wanted to make some extra money to buy a watch because my girlfriend at the time told me, don't buy a watch, save your money. And so I started selling calls on the side for downsells and like other offers.
I think I heard this story on a podcast.
Yeah, maybe. Next thing you know, I ended up with a watch and a business that was making $2,000 a week, $5,000 a week, $10,000. One day made $100,000. I was like, oh my God, it's a real company. Fast forward now, we're tracking about 150 million, hopefully going to hit 200 this year. And that's us.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What about yourself?
I got into this industry by mistake. So when I was in college, I had this idea of building websites. And then instead of them paying me for the website, just pay me every time you receive a phone call. Like, it's 25 cents, okay? Nobody bought into that idea. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I built brick and mortar companies around the media that I was buying. So at the time, I started buying like perfumes and selling like brand name perfumes, fragrances, drop shipping it. This is 2006, 2007.
Early dropshipping.
Yeah, early dropshipping. I had to send like a pick and slip, literally, to the distributor so they can pick the products, run my credit card, and then ship it, drop ship it, white label to the customer. Which now the companies, they're Fragrance X. I don't know if you know about them, but they're huge now. And that's how it started. And then I was like, this is pretty good money. I'm gonna go ahead and build a logistic company and buy trucks and forklifts and warehouses. And I did that, and then I hated it. It was like the worst thing I could possibly do. And I sold it. And I said to myself, what if I buy a recording studio? That should be fun. And I opened a recording studio in Miami. At the time we were starving. I mean, I ran through all my money, all my savings. I didn't have any more money. And I hit like a depression, like fuck, I failed. I burned everything that I, created. And a good friend of mine goes like, hey man, can you make the phone ring for my company? I'm like, what is it that you do? He was like, water restoration. I'm like, what the fuck is that? He goes like, well, when people get water in their house, they're doing insurance claim. You know what insurance is? I'm like, of course. They're like, okay. And that's how it got started. The problem at the time was that it was only South Florida. And I wanted to like sail nationwide. I wanted to expand. So he told him, he's Cuban. He looks at me, he goes like, Macho, what you got to do is you got to find a company out there that will buy your phone calls for you. This is 2017, 2018. So I go into, Google and I type in like, who buys water damage phone calls? And eLocal and 33-mile radius pop up. So I call eLocal and I'm like, hey, will you guys buy some water damage? He's like, well, not really. We don't know who you are. We're not doing business with you. And then I called Tim McGill at 33-mile radius. I'm like, listen, man, I don't have any reference other than I have a client here in Florida that I'm generating these calls for. I want to go nationwide. And he gave me a chance. He goes like, can you start with plumbing first? And if you start with plumbing first, I'll open it up to water damage. And I was like, okay, great. I'll do that. Then, long story short, I sit down. I'm like, where can I run plumbing calls? Like, what city will have like the worst plumbing infrastructure ever? Well, Vegas. It's a freaking desert, right? They gotta have shitty plumber. Like, it's a desert, right? That's what I thought. And I started running there, and like Brandon said, like 2,000 first week, and then 5,000, and 10,000, and it kept growing and growing and growing. And I'm like, wow, like this is now like the idea of selling phone calls for 25 cents. Now it's like multi-billion-dollar industry that I wasn't aware of, and that's how I got started.
How'd you guys both meet?
Industry, I
Yeah,
think.
industry,
Yeah.
mutual friends. Yeah, I did an event, mastermind, I think last year in Miami, and that's when we officially met like in person.
You were at that one in October?
Was that when it was?
Yeah, you were there
Time
too.
flies. Yeah.
And I beat you, man.
It was a great
Like
event.
60 people there. Yeah.
A lot of conversations.
Were you on
That
the
was a
yacht?
great event. I was on the yacht.
Yeah. Dude, it was a lot of people.
That was a lot of people.
It was a lot
And
of
it was a
people.
lot of catching up and a lot of alcohol.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of.
That was a great event.
We should do it
I
again.
told him
We
I was
should
like,
do it
dude,
again.
throw another one. That was like one of the best events I've
Dude, I'm in. I'll do one with you all day.
Hell yeah, we'll do one again. It was a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
This industry is a great industry, and I see how somebody like me can have their life changed by coming into a group like this, that people are helping each other, are encouraging each other to grow, and are building like really cool stuff. Think about it. Today is like what, Thursday at 2 p.m. and we're here.
Yeah.
That's not the norm, you know.
Especially not when you make real money.
Exactly.
What are you focused on today?
Today, I have a rock star team. I've been really fortunate to be able to elevate a lot of people in leadership roles, and now currently focused on building AI technology to try to help people get out of the kind of mundane call center roles that a lot of people fall into, and find things they're more passionate about by having AI automate a lot of those processes. So instead of having somebody sitting in a room miserable and hating their life, they can go do something meaningful that they find fulfilling, and I can just have a robot do that.
I spoke with, you know Valtteri?
I do not.
Yeah.
You know Valtteri, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's working on, or was working with some kind of software where it automates and actually adapts the language to the native tongue and accent
Nice.
based on the IP, and just like, so I think that's...
Yeah, we've looked at doing that too, doing different voices based on the geo, and it does have a profound impact.
Wild, man. Yeah, it's what is
Yeah.
it? Like, so what do you think call centers are going to be in 10 years?
I think that salespeople will always be here. I think if we look at 10 years, I think a lot of what we do is going to be automated heavily. I think 5 to 7 years from now, a lot of things we do will be automated. I think that the businesses that I plan to invest in are going to be home services businesses. Like, the AI stuff is great, I'll make some money, but I plan to redeploy that into home services businesses, because the things that are going to become commodities are the things today we look at as menial, but somebody has to do them. The manual labor jobs that have to be done that can't be replaced by machines very easily, those are going to be the future, to me, of industry. Because we'll end in like some type of a UBI situation. We have to, because people are going to lose so many jobs to machines. And when we move into that, there's going to be, it's almost like a renaissance where people are going to find meaning in their lives, fulfillment, be passionate about things, and to an extent be carried by society. But there are going to be a lot of manual jobs, like somebody getting up on your roof and fixing your roof. A robot isn't going to do that very quickly. That will happen eventually. But to automate that process is so much more drastically different and more difficult than automating a call center process. So I think
a human doing it with the robot.
yeah, there's a chance that that'll happen sooner. I think it'll be assisted, and then eventually it'll move past that point, and it'll just be robots doing certain tasks and humans doing others. But I think that the longevity on manual labor, specifically a service-based industry, is going to outlive a lot of other verticals.
Yeah.
And I think like legal, for example, people are like, oh, I have a robot that'll be my lawyer. Well, that's good and it's bad, because at the end of the day, there's not a robot judge, right? So
Not yet.
we'll see where the future goes. But I think call centers will be a lot different. I think it's going to be more of people providing the sale of the product, because people still do want to buy products and they want to be sold. And I have to speak in 5 minutes, so I'm going to dip out of here after this comment. But people want to be sold. They want to feel comfortable in a purchase that they're making. And there's the concept of the uncanny valley, where if something becomes too close to human but clearly not human, you immediately don't trust it. And until we get over that hump, which who knows when that's going to happen, and even if it will happen, because people are always going to be distrusting of machines.
Yeah.
People want to do business with people that they like. So the human factor, I think, will still exist. I think call centers will be radically different. I think we'll probably be in a virtual society where people will take calls from home or from wherever they are, and that will be the sales cycle. You'll have a qualification done by a robot, a piece of technology I'm building that other people are racing to as well. And then eventually people will just sit around and take the calls from wherever, and it'll be very similar to the way we're here at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think a lot of the repetitive entry-level stuff is going to be done by automation, artificial intelligence, and the manual labor is still going to be manual labor. I don't see anywhere in the near future a robot replacing a water heater or a toilet or a furnace. But I do see robots doing health insurance enrollment or auto insurance enrollment. And I do see in the near future where it's going to have a disclaimer that you're speaking with artificial intelligence.
Yep.
I see that happening.
And a benefit to that is there's no bias. The robot doesn't have a bias. So if it's giving you the best option, it's truly giving you, based on the data set that it's been provided, the best option. It's not giving you the one with the most commission. So I think it's going to actually be a more honest society in that way.
What advice do you have for someone looking to get into the affiliate space today?
There's endless opportunity. I mean, I think that pay-per-call is going to be continuing to grow as, pay-per-lead and lead forms are going to continue to decrease in demand. Mainly because, and like Carlos said, the thought was, well, what if I get somebody interested on the phone now, instead of having to call them, annoy somebody, and get them on the phone later, and then hope I can keep them on the phone.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're getting into the industry, obviously a lot of people have done the e-com stuff, the Nutra stuff, the trial stuff, lead form stuff, but I really do believe calls are the future.
Yeah, I also agree with that one. I think calls are the future. I think that inbound consumer-initiated warm transfers are also going to be the future, because a lot of regulations that are going to be stopping people from outbound dialing and using these predative approaches, especially with the senior demographic. So they're going to turn into having an inbound call that is going to be pre-qualified either by human or AI or some other type of business intelligence before getting into an agent, which no longer needs to be under the same roof. It could be somebody working remotely anywhere. So we're definitely going to see that, I think, in the near future, where we're going to become a lot more efficient in the way that we handle and process calls.
What are you most excited about today?
Being alive.
I second that, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. I know you guys speak, brother.
Great to talk to you,
Thank you for
Carlos.
joining us, man.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Nice, I get to be mic'd up now.
Hey. Take two.
So Carlos, I know you've had a pretty cool history with obviously doing the perfume drop shipping, brick and mortar, music studio. That's definitely the most different out of everything you've done. It sounds like. What do you like the most about pay-per-call? Like, what lights you up about it?
A lot of things. I like the fact that we're helping out people at the end of the day. People are calling and they're getting the products or the services that they need. So I like that a lot. And then I also like that I can scale this business because I leverage my partner's resources, in the sense that if I am generating call for a Fortune 500 company that has 1,000, 2,000 agents on the floor answering these calls, then now I can operate at that scale. Whether in a traditional business, I will have to have like 2,000 agents working for me, and it will be a big overhead to be able to do that.
Yeah, scale it into.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Another thing that I like is that I'm able to be nimble and adapt really fast. So I could be running home services today, and if that vertical for whatever reason is not performing, I can adapt and switch over to a new vertical and be running a mass tort or some type of insurance or some type of legal service rather quick, where you can't really do that in traditional, right? If you're running a restaurant, you can't just tomorrow decide, hey, we're going to shut all this down and I'm going to have a salon up and running, right? So you can't do that, but you can do that in pay-per-call. So that's something that, I really like. And the other thing that I really like is it's the community and the industry and the cult around this niche of performance marketing, right? And you see like this team kind of
it's collaborative.
Correct. Team kind of vibe, because everybody collaborates, everybody like, you know, want to kind of help each other out, even though they're competing with each other at the same time. So you don't get to see that in many industries, but you do get
people
to
don't
see
open
it
up
in
as much.
Correct.
What I know you help a lot of people. You've been coaching for when did you first launch your course and start doing coaching?
Great.
We're good, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I know you've helped a lot of people. You've done a lot of coaching. When did you first start, and why did you decide to start coaching?
So I first started coaching in late 2018. And the reason why I did it is because I was surprised that not enough people was doing pay-per-call. And even though it's still relatively a small industry, it was smaller back then. So I was surprised that people were not doing really pay-per-call, and they were like, you know, doing all this other hard stuff to make an income online, which I was like, that makes no sense. So I decided to start teaching and coaching people on how to do what is it that I do. And so far we have taught like a little over 1,400 people.
Oof.
And a lot of them, you know, have grown to be 6, 7, 8-figure players in the industry. You see a lot of them in this room here today. And that to us is really rewarding, to grab somebody that had no idea what pay-per-call was, and then now to see that they're running a team of 10, 15, 20 people in this industry doing this is fucking amazing.
What are the habits you see of the ones that have the most success versus the ones that don't succeed?
Yeah, well, the main habit that I see is the one that have a lot of success are obsessive. They obsess over the business, how things are done, and they don't give up. They're persistent, right? And the ones that don't succeed, they see it more as a hobby. And maybe this is a cool side gig. I'll maintain my 9-to job. I'll still be an architect, and I'll do this on the side to see what can happen. But that guy that built something before and failed and hit rock bottom and wants to build something new, those people usually tend to take business opportunity a little bit more serious, and they come in with experience of previous, businesses. So they apply all that into something like this, and they can see a return on their investment, and they can see success rather quickly. So to circle back around, I see people I immediately know when somebody joins our program is going to be successful, because one, they watch all the videos. The questions that they're asking are very elaborate questions, and they're applying what they're learning. They're executing. They're not just sitting around and absorbing theory without putting it into practice.
What are the things you focus on and obsess about that make you successful?
I am obsessed with a lot of things, especially with the heat right now. I am obsessed with a lot of things, but one of the things that I really, really am obsessed about is with integrations of systems and connecting different systems together to perform certain activities. I'm also quite a bit obsessed with AI at the moment, and using AI to do a lot of analysis and data handling for us. And I'm also looking into building a complete funnel and move from just being a network, a lead generator, a media buyer, into also servicing, and to also move into also servicing some of the leads that we're generating.
You want
in the
to
case
bring
of insurance.
things in-house.
Correct.
With your own call center or sales
own call
team,
centers and all agencies and issue on bond or own policies.
When you first started seeing the internet money,
Yeah.
I don't know what year you exactly started, 2016, 2017?
I mean, I've been seeing internet money for quite a while.
Pay-per-call.
From pay-per-call in 2017, 18.
2017. Could you have predicted where you would be in 6 years, having this kind of focus and
No.
It's evolved. It's just been a complete evolution as you've
I
gone
thought
through.
that it was bullshit, to be honest. I honestly thought that I was not gonna. I look at my dashboard and for the first week, I think I spent it like maybe like $150, $200 on Craigslist ads, right? And my payout was like $2,800. And I was like, there's no way these people are gonna pay me.
And they paid you.
This is bullshit. They're not gonna pay me. Watch this. It's gonna be a whole scam. And sure enough, Thursday, bam,
Money hits.
ACH. I'm like, whoa, hold on. And then I went crazy, but I had no idea that it was gonna turn into, that it's gonna turn into an 8-figure business,
It's cool, man.
No idea at all.
When you were younger, before you went on all these different paths, would you have ever guessed you would be doing this?
I knew I was going to be working around computers because when I was born in Cuba, so I came to this country when I was 13 in 1998, and when I was in Cuba, I used to make the line to be able to use a computer. So nobody had computers, so you had to like go to like a office type of library that you will use computers there, and you had to make a pretty long line to be able to do that, right? And then as soon as I moved to the US, I started like cutting grass for the neighbors so they can like, pay me like $10 and I will cut the grass. And then I saved enough money and I went to like a Salvation Army, and then I bought like a whole bunch of old junk computers and made a computer, like put a computer together. So I've always been like around computers. I've always been like, computer has been like my main essential tool that I have used all my life.
Where'd this hustle come from, man? Like,
I think it comes from, being born in a country that it's a communist country, that you don't have any opportunities, there's no future, there's nothing to hope for, and then, life will change you. And then my parents were lucky enough to move to this country, to the US, and then I see all these opportunities that were never an option for me. And I was like, man, I'm just gonna hustle and gonna design the life that I want to. I'm gonna build the business that I want to, and I'm gonna live life on my terms. And to me, this is the greatest country, the only country I think that you can do that in. So a lot of the hustle came from that, Imagine somebody that comes to this country with like 50 cents in their pocket,
They got more dogged than most Americans getting out of bed every day.
Correct. So I had to learn the language, the culture.
When did you learn English?
So I came in 1998.
How old were you?
I was 13.
Yeah.
By 2003, I graduated high school. 2008, I graduated college, and I never had a formal job.
Fucking love it, man. Dude.
I never had a formal
like yours,
job.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, those are some of the people that have had the most success that I know.
Yeah, I remember when I was a sophomore in college, right? And at the time, it was like I told you, I was drop shipping perfumes, fragrances from New York. And then I look up.
Not from China. Not from China. Let's be very clear.
These are the real ones.
This is a real drop ship.
Yeah, it's real drop shipping from New York. Designer brands, right? So I was looking at my QuickBooks, and we had like generated like $368,000 to be exact, right? From doing this drop shipping. I'm a sophomore in college, I just came to this country like 5 years ago, right? So I was like, wow, this is pretty legit. So I told my mom, you know what, this college thing, like, forget it. I'm not doing it. And then she went nuts. She's like, you're gonna finish school? I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna graduate. The best offer that I have is from Chase, and they want to pay me like $60,000 a year. What am I gonna do with that? And she's like, no, you have to finish. You finish college. And
she wanted you to be the first college graduate.
Yeah, she's actually the only one in the family that graduated. My mother that graduated college. She's a chemistry teacher. And then I'm like
she's
the
big
second
on education.
one. Yeah, big in education. Interesting fact, I never went to pick up my diploma.
That's awesome, man.
I should go sometime and pick it up.
You should go, hell yeah,
I should go. I never went to pick it up. Yeah.
So what I find most interesting too is you're very personable, you're very charismatic, you're great to you're a great storyteller, you're great to talk with, but you also have that side of the brain that's very technical. You seem very system oriented. Yeah. Where do you think that comes from? Where you kind of have the best of both worlds with how you engage, interact, and think?
I think because I'm a Gemini, so like one side of me is like the, very communicative, storytelling side, and then the other side is just like the geek in me, right? That I want to learn how to code, and I want to write this my own, and I want to build websites on my own.
You want to solve problems.
I want to do everything on my own, solve problems, right? And then the other side is like, well, how can I communicate what I'm solving with other people? So you mix them both. It's a good fit.
What advice do you have? I want you to answer this question for two different types of people. Someone that's thinking about getting into the affiliate pay-per-call space.
Okay.
Someone that's in it already. What's the piece of advice that you would give to them today?
Okay. To someone that is new to the space, that wants to get in the space, my advice will be to try to find a niche that you want to concentrate in and become an expert on it, meaning like learn as much as you can from that. It's a big difference from somebody that knows everything about the product or offer that they're promoting and somebody that wants to promote that offer and product to make money, right? And what I mean by that is that whatever offer you decide that this is the one that I want to run and I want to promote, you should have very extensive research and a wide knowledge about it. Like you should be able to speak in depth about that offer, because that's going to allow you to be a better media buyer, a better negotiator with your advertiser, and a better performance marketing overall. If you're just picking an offer because you're looking at what is paying the most and you want to run that based on what is paying the most, chances are you're not going to have much success, right? So that would be my advice. Be fully invested in whatever that you're running, and then understand that everything is a process, right? So understand that in the case of basketball, we can probably dribble and play basketball, and we can probably do a mediocre or a good job at it. But there's no way that we can play basketball with LeBron or Michael Jordan, right? Because they've been doing this for a lot longer, they're more experienced. So understand where you are at your journey and then set expectations based on that, right? So don't be too hard on yourself and don't compare yourself with the greatest, because the greatest have been doing it for a while. They have acquired the experience, which is the only thing you can't really buy, experience. And that's why they perform at that level. Eventually you can become one of them or even better, but understand that will be a process for you to get there.
What about someone that's having success already?
So somebody that's having success already has to be in the constant lookout for improvements, running lean and efficient, right? So a lot of the time, somebody that is running successful already could be burning a lot of budget or a lot of resources and having overlapping roles, right? So they could hire 2-3 people to do the same job, and it's eating away from their profits, or having a outdated tech stack, right? And that could be, not propelling them into other opportunities and into other revenue sources, or analyze what is it that they're currently doing in their business and how they can make more money from what they're currently doing. And in the example of pay-per-call, unfortunately, a lot of us, me included, will look at the payout of the call as the end goal without realizing that the money's on the data and the upselling and cross-selling and monetization of your data.
Which is the hard part.
Yeah, correct.
That's really the hard part.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Bro.
So that's my advice to them. And we're in Tampa, and I got to tell you, it feels like it's 100 degrees out here.
So let's finish with that, man.
Yeah.
What else would you like the audience to know?
Yeah.
And how can they learn more about you, your coaching? We'll obviously link back to everything underneath this video, but what else would you like our awesome viewers to know?
I would like them to know that there's a a cool space out there that is called pay-per-call marketing, that is performance marketing, where essentially you will run advertisements and people will call those ads and you will get paid for phone calls that convert into billable calls, and you can make a great income, generate wealth, and work with some amazing people. That's the main thing that I wanted to know, that there's something that is called pay-per-call that is out there, and that they can do it just like we do it. And if you want to get in touch with me, my Skype is 305 Shark, and in YouTube you can find me under Carlos Corona, which is my name. There's probably like 100 hours worth of free training there, so that will be a good place to start.
And Money Making Mondays on his YouTube channel
every Monday
fire.
at 12.
He should be charging for that content. He brings on some of the biggest people in this industry, and he just talks to them, and just, you have open conversations. You share what you're working on today. At minimum, go follow him, but check out his program. He could absolutely help you as well if you're looking to get into pay-per-call. You want someone that hands-on, show you how to do it and do it right. So Carlos, I know it's hot as hell out here, man. Let's get inside, brother.
I appreciate
Thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Peace out.